There is Jarrett Johnson getting ready to race. His big brother, well, it's his house across the street at the Asphalt Oval here at Charlotte. But Jimmy Johnson, like all of the Johnson boys, got his start in dirt track racing.
My dad owned a motorcycle shop, so I grew up racing bikes, so the kids did. And then we went to the desert a lot and played in the desert. So the kids would ride bikes in the desert, and then they wanted to start racing, so it kind of grew and grew and grew and grew.
I started racing Bandoleros and legend cars across the street here at the Speedway during the summer shootout. And then from there I went and raced late model trucks for a couple years, and then I ran late models.
Then now we're here racing off-road after 15 years of driving asphalt. We're back here at Charlotte Motor Speedway at the Husqvarna Showdown.
The stock car is a hard thing to do, and being Jimmy's little brother didn't help either of them. We thought it would, but it didn't. So this was just a natural thing to come back here and do this.
With Jimmy, his off-road background, it built a lot of experience that he could incorporate over across the street at the Speedway. Sliding the truck, car control, just everything. There's a lot of it that applies to it, braking and all that. So from Jimmy's off-road background to the asphalt side, I think it's huge. I think that's one of the biggest advantages that he has.
Jimmy helps us out a lot with cornering and braking and learning how to trail brake, and we always bounce ideas off each other.
You've got to have a very well-rounded skill set, to be in one of these things. Because if you go out there and just cruise around, you're going to get smoked. You got to be up on the wheel and go, and then at the same time deal with changing conditions at all times. So that's the part that I actually think it's helped me go into the Cup. Might sound weird, but those asphalt tracks, guys are in the same line the whole time. They're dropping oil, laying down rubber, and a small change in line on our big tracks, I can find some grip, and I'm always searching for grip, and it makes a difference.
To get from three little boys riding motorcycles to get to where we are now with Jimmy's fame and stuff, and these boys on their way now with this, it's been a lot of work.
The Johnsons, just an awesome racing family and some of the nicest people you're ever going to meet. And it really is interesting to hear Jimmy talk about how this kind of dirt track racing helped him on the asphalt. And I got to tell you, these guys, they drive hard all the time, and nobody knows how hard this can be than Arie Luyendyk Jr. back in Prim. He suffered one of the wildest crashes we have seen in a long time. Arie Luyendyk Jr. took this ride that he wasn't planning in Prim, but he's back and ready to race here in Charlotte tonight. Pro two-wheel drive with Arie Luyendyk Jr. is coming up. Welcome back to TORC, the Off-Road Championship. That is Arie Luyendyk Jr., who took an unexpected ride in Prim.
So after the restart, I basically dove in on the inside. I got to the inside of Mike Jenkins, and I knew I was in trouble when I got such a good run off the jump, and he seemed to stumble a little bit. So when we went off the jump, I jumped way further than he did, and as soon as we touched, I knew we were in trouble. So I went to the hospital, discovered I had a broken clavicle, pretty bad break, so he said that I'd have to have surgery. As soon as I got back to Arizona, Dr. Sheldon Martin, who's an excellent surgeon, he had me in on Tuesday. My bone was cracked like this, so it was a diagonal crack right in the middle, so they just put the two pieces together, put two screws through that bone, and then laid a stainless steel plate over, and then 6 additional screws. And I have full mobility, full range of motion in my shoulders, and it definitely hurts, like having the weight of that belt on me. But straight away, no painkillers, just try to heal as quickly as possible.
Arie Luyendyk last night, he had a tough ride of it, but remember, a plate in his collarbone that is very, very fresh. Had a little bit of problem there with Kincaid, got stuck in the corner, managed to get it refired, then was fighting against the cat truck of Steve Barlow. Barlow makes a mistake, and Arie Luyendyk goes on to take 3rd place. And there is Arie Luyendyk in that second row on the Pro two-wheel drive track. And we're taking a look at the 33 car. That is, of course, CJ Greaves. You watched him in the Pro Light category, had a little bit of a hard time. Last night, I got to tell you, he was having a great battle with Chad Horde.
Well, these guys have shown their muscle already at the top of the class, and their action was so tight. But CJ Greaves never buckled under the pressure, and he went under the win, and look at that. He is really happy.
CJ Greaves going to be looking for that again tonight, but the green flag, they're led out by Steve Barlow in the black and yellow Cat Machine, that number 2, going into the corner, and he is right next to Nick Tyree. Barlow back in off-road truck TORC racing, and look at how fast he's going off the front.
Well, it's great to have Steve Barlow back in racing. This guy's been around a long time. You see that first turn, they go off the banking, creates issues every time we see a bottleneck there. But Steve Barlow and that Caterpillar truck, they use Caterpillar equipment to prep this track, so.
Well, you would think that might give him an advantage, but unfortunately, CJ Greaves is chasing him down. We saw Chad Horde, the red truck there, that is in 4th position. So right now, Barlow leading it out. For more on Steve Barlow, let's check in with Tony Bachhoven.
Well, guys, Steve Barlow wasn't planning to be here. 3 weeks ago, his phone rang. It's the folks from Caterpillar. He's so excited to be here this weekend. The team is really pumped up about their new alliance with Cat this season.
Thanks, Todd. Great looking vehicle, that one too, but unfortunately, CJ Greaves is starting to work his way underneath.
As they're now getting side by side through this rhythm section, pretty clean, not a lot of contact. Well, say that, we see a little shrapnel there, but no harm, no foul. Look at this now. CJ going to that left option on the lane. Barlow on the outside, but CJ looks to have this pass made.
And it looks like the red truck of Chad Horde is now coming in like a shark in the water. He is advancing on our top 2 racers. CJ Greaves, the black and green truck in the lead, the black and yellow Cat truck with Steve Barlow in 2nd. And then we'll be looking for that red truck of Chad Horde to make the chart. Chad Horde, he looked just fantastic in practice and in racing. And it's great to see both him and Greaves giving each other such a good run for the money.
Since opening practice in Prim round 1, Chad Horde looked like he was dialed, the truck was dialed. I spoke with him, he said they did a lot of off-season testing, and it's showing. And you can see he is creeping up on the front too, so don't count him out of this race with that Boss Snowplow red and black truck, sponsored by Amsoil as well. Look at him coming on that front straight right now, trying to get some traction.
That's Chad Horde in the red truck there. For more on him, checking in with Christy Lee.
Talked with Chad earlier, and he felt that a poor tire choice was what held him back last night. The tires were too soft. With about 6 or so laps to go in the race, he was losing traction and used up too much tire to make the charge for the win so late in the race.
Well, we were talking about that a little bit earlier, just saying how critical traction is on this track, because we have 2 different types of dirt surfaces, as well as we deal with dry areas. Some have more moisture, as we see Ari Lyndike Jr. This guy is a warrior. He's got a plated collarbone, and you know, that may not be the end of the world, but you got to remember these guys are strapped in tight with these belts, so this guy sucking it up. And that podium last night, you couldn't help but be excited for it.
And the collarbone, the clavicle bone, is one of those things that you can either plate it or just leave it. And you and I, Grant, we both broken collarbones. Yours are actually plated, and I can't imagine though what he says. He's taking no painkillers because he wants to be present in the moment when he's driving. Whoa, what's it gonna feel like?
At this point, he is, you know, truthfully, the best pain medicine is adrenaline. As we look up front, Steve Barlow, I can't imagine his adrenaline level. He said this truck has been sitting since September, and you mentioned earlier, you got a call from Caterpillar. Great to have Caterpillar part of the sport, and what better to have him out in the, basically in the podium position right now, but he has Chad Horde, and like you said, I think Chad Horde is figuring out that tire, and we talked about it. It's critical to find a happy medium from the clay to the infield section.
What you were saying, I mean, Chad Horde, that red truck, is the best in the business, and Steve Barlow is telling us, oh, you know, the truck's been parked, I'm feeling rusty, and look at this, he's keeping up with CJ Greaves and holding back Chad Horde.
Well, let's be real. Racers don't forget how to race. You're either born with it or you're not. Steve Barlow is a racer. He's been in the series for a long time. He was playing owner-manager role, and now he's back in the truck, and it's awesome to see this because he's got Chad Horde, who we've raved about this year. This guy looks to be dialed in, but let's not forget.
So as we head into the break, let's take a look at our VP power move. And this one, CJ Greaves moving past Steve Barlow. Can CJ hang on to the lead? Find out when we come back. We are under competition caution here at the Husqvarna Showdown in Charlotte. Our Pro two-wheel drive race halfway over. And we take a look at this. CJ Greaves leading over Chad Horde and Steve Barlow. And that is because when we were gone, Chad Horde actually managed to squeeze his way past that black and yellow cat truck. So the black monster Toyota in the lead, the Boss Snowplow red car in second, the black and yellow cat truck in third, and we are ready to go green flag racing.
And look at this, Chad Horde once again just stalking the back of CJ Greaves there, making sure he wouldn't lose any time that restart, because he knows when it goes green and he hoofs it, he's going to lose some truck lengths there. But Chad Horde right there, but in the background you see Steve Barlow coming under pressure from Kincaid now, and look at that.
Light Jr. spins it. I was about to make a comment that he went really, really hard, super fast into that corner, and unfortunately just pushed it a little too hard.
But he's back in racing. Oh, he overdrove that turn a little bit, probably a little frustrated at this point, but look at this. CJ Greaves now has his hands full. He has Chad Horde stalking him. You know his spot is telling him 0 truck length between you two.
And we saw this in our Pro Light category. Very often the guy in second can just stomp first place and try and look for that one mistake to give you a chance to go by. Oh, you can see that Horde was really driving it hard. The wheels turned all the way to the right as they came around that left-hand turn.
Oh, and Horde over, you see.
Oversteering again.
But that turn is breaking down. We see guys over-rotating because it gets loose. So it's so hard, because right here you see that it's getting a little bit polished. These guys are just wheel spinning. They can't be full throttle because they'll just wheel spin and they'll go nowhere in a hurry. So right now, look at these guys just using as much traction they can get out of these tires. But we have a change for third as we see Jeff Kincaid. He has now gotten around Barlow. So difference there. Barlow now off the podium, but he is right there all over back.
Not letting Kincaid go, so he's chasing that Traxxas machine down. But Kincaid, we saw the problem last night that Kincaid had. He ended up stuck in the corner, and Ari Lindite kind of stacked into the back of him. Somehow, Lindite fought his way all the way back to a podium finish last night. But he's got his work cut out for him here tonight because he is almost dead last.
Jeff Kincaid, family affair. We saw his son racing early in the Pro Light, so father and son, 2 different classes, but family event. Speaking of families, we got the Greaves family. We got CJ does Pro Light and Pro 2-wheel drive, and his father does the Pro 4-wheel drive. Let's throw it down to Tony.
Well, guys, CJ just went through the whoop section. He thinks that's one of the trickiest places on the racetrack. Yesterday in practice and during the race last night, he actually slowed down and made that a double versus trying to cover all 3 of those peaks and making it a triple. So it's an interesting line that nobody else is using, and that might be why he's able to pull away from the field.
CJ coming from a motocross background, and guess what? They have whoops in motocross, so this guy probably excels in that section. Just what he was saying. These trucks, you got to time it, because if it's coming to turn, Tess, with the front bouncing and the rear up there, you can't turn, you can't brake, so you have to have this thing well balanced.
Well, you can see flames leaping out of the back of that monster Toyota every time he flies in the air. Tony Bachhoven, why are we seeing a flamethrower out of the back of his truck?
Well, guys, these guys run that special TRD engine with a unique ignition system in it. It's all about the amount of fuel coming in and the rate that the RPMs come down. The RPMs come down so much faster than many of the other trucks that there's so much fuel there, it doesn't burn, it just ignites.
Well, that's a great point, Tony. These exhaust pipes are so hot, it just immediately burns that fuel, so we get the flame. But let's be honest, it looks awesome. I mean, who doesn't love a flame-throwing 900 horsepower torque truck?
Well, great racing so far from CJ Greaves. Chad Hort has dropped back a little. You can see a little bit of damage there on the bedside, but
that one damage, it ain't going to slow him down.
A lot of the bodywork here is just cosmetic. It really doesn't hamper the cars.
You see Chad Hort there went a little bit wider. He's searching for different lines, I believe, because he was having issues on that tight line, which seemed to be the faster line earlier. But now look at these guys running a little bit higher, trying to find that cushion, trying to find some traction, because that shiny stuff is slick as can be.
And again, you see there Chad Hort working his way around what is normally the dirt oval here at the dirt track at Charlotte. And that is solid clay. The infield is built just for this race. And that is much softer dirt. And it's tracking out really heavily on that tight right-hand turn, turn 3.
Looking here at our third place driver, Jeff Kincaid. He's still got Steve Barlow right there. I mean, he's not all over him, but a little mistake from Kincaid, and we could have a shuffle for the podium positions. Look at these guys going to the lower option on that split lane over this last double before this is they turn back onto the banking. Look at these guys really using throttle control. And what's weird, Tess, is they're turning left, but they got the wheel turning right.
And with these Pro 2-wheel drives, this is what they have, 900 horsepower delivered to just the back wheels. So you have to imagine how hard it is to control the trucks, especially, as we said, on this tight track. You really need to have that throttle control because some of those turns come up in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. As you see CJ now in that right-hand turn now, we get a little bit of a rut. So it's almost creating an inside-outside line. CJ turning back onto the speedway. Look at that. Coming to the white flag. This guy is on fire, literally. But he is on form. This guy takes the white flag. Chad Hort doing everything he can to keep up with CJ, but CJ Greaves is dialed in tonight.
Hort is about 15 trucks length behind, but he's going to have to try and make a real last-ditch effort in one of these corners. I don't think that Chad Hort has enough to catch up to CJ Greaves in the closing seconds of this race.
CJ Greaves has been here before. He knows how to win races. I don't see him blowing it. Chad Hort obviously hoping and praying for a mechanical or a problem, but CJ Greaves comes from a racing family. Last turn, coming to the front straight. CJ Greaves will take the checkered flag, and he wins round 4 here at Charlotte.
A great end to our Pro 2-wheel drive. CJ Greaves takes the victory. He is number 1. We'll catch up with him when we come back. TORC, the Off-Road Championship on NBCSN, is brought to you by MagnaFlow. Find your next exhaust at magnaflow.com. By AMSOIL, for any engine. Buy now at amsoil.com. By Maxxis Tires, greatness from within. And by Cooper Tire, an official partner of the TORC series. There is CJ Greaves, who takes his win here in Pro 2-wheel drive in Charlotte. Christy Lee, let's talk to him.
CJ, outstanding performance out there. This is the tightest track this season on the TORC series. How did you maintain all this power and keep it under control and win for the race?
You know, it all goes out to my crew. They put a phenomenal setup in this truck. They got this thing hooking up. The guys from Toyota, Don and Ernie, they put a killer engine in it. I don't know what more I could ask for. I mean, they give me the best equipment, and I have to take my hat off to them. They put in all the hours, and I just drive the truck.
That makes 3 wins for CJ Greaves this season in Pro 2-wheel drive.
Great result there for CJ Greaves. 3 in a row he's won now in the Pro 2-wheel drive. Chad Hort just couldn't chase him down to take that win. Jeff Kincaid, though, held off Steve Barlow for that 3rd place and podium finish.